so I'm going to make a little dip. Now, I bought some sesame seeds for a couple of recipes I wanted, and I bought a big bag because it's far more economical that way, a lot more economical. So I've been looking for some recipes to use some of them up. Obviously I want some from the other recipes that I bought them for. Anyway, I want to make some tahini. Now tahini is essentially just sesame seeds with a little bit of oil, and the oil just depends on really how thin you like your tahini. The other thing is as well, you can use them as they are, or you can toast them. Now toasting tends to take away a little bit of the bitterness, and so we're going to toast them. Okay, now what I've got here is about 1.5 cups, about 200 grams, okay, because I want to make enough to go in that jar. Now it will depend on how much oil you add, or how much you actually end up with. Okay, so I'm not planning on adding too much oil, okay, but I'm going to use some ordinary olive oil. So first things first, I've got a pan here. So I'm just going to get that warming up and we'll toast them. So I've put a pan on, nothing in it, okay, on about a medium heat, and I'm just going to tip all of them into there, and all we're going to do is we're just going to, we don't want them browning, okay, these, but we just want to sort of lightly toast them. Like I say, you don't have to, purely optional, but you find they can sometimes be a little bit bitter unless you, excuse me, toast them first. Now, there's a whole variety of sesame seeds, well, sesame seeds are sesame seeds, but they could be hulled, these are hulled, and commercial tahini would be made with these hulled seeds, okay. Or you can use purely natural, unhulled, all right? Purely up to you. All it really does is make a difference to this texture, if you like, the tahini. So these are the ones I've got, the whole ones, we're going to use them. So I'm just going to just keep them moving, because obviously we don't want them catching, okay? And we're just going to lightly toast them, how long for, I don't know, 5 minutes, all right, and then we let them cool completely. Now the only other thing you're going to need is a food processor. You could use a blender, okay, and I've got a tablespoon measure, if you like, that you can do it by eye, it's entirely up to you, but we're just going to let this toast through, like I say, for about 5 minutes, then we'll let it cool, and then we'll get on to the actual blitzing it in the blender. So I've transferred the sesame seeds into the food processor, and all we're going to do now is we're going to blitz it. Now some people start adding the oil straight away, but that tends to make the tahini a bit more coarser, so we're actually going to just do it for a few minutes without any oil, until hopefully it goes a little bit more like a crumbly paste, and then we'll add a little bit of oil. And again, like I said, the oil is just to your tasting. So I'm just going to keep on sort of blitzing it like this. As it does this, it will heat it up, and that will start releasing some of the oils, which obviously we want it to do, so it becomes more of a paste. So I'm not sure really how easy it is to see, but it is sort of clumping together, but I don't think we're going to get much more out of it. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to add a tablespoon of oil, okay, and then we're going to blend that, and we'll possibly add another tablespoon if we think it's still too thick, and actually we will continue adding the oil until we get to the consistency that we want. Now the other thing you're going to need to do as you go along is scrape down the sides, because obviously it will start sticking up to the sides. So I'm going to add another spoonful of oil at this point. Now this thing, you can keep it, the thing you have to watch, because it's got olive oil in it, is the oil is a thing that will go rancid and obviously spoil it. Okay, but it should last, if you keep it in the fridge, for at least a month. You may also find that when it's in the jar and you haven't used it for a little while, you go in there and the oil has separated out, you just stir it back in again. So I'm going to give that a little scrape down, and I think we need to add just another tablespoon of oil and see how that goes. So I think that's about the consistency I want. Okay, let me get this out and show you. There is still a bit of oil sitting in the bottom, but we'll mix that in as we get it out. Now it is slightly, what would you call it, textured still. Okay, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to spoon this out, and then we'll have a little taste test and see what it's like. Now, I didn't put any salt in it. You could have had a little pinch of salt, and in fact you could have got some garlic and put garlic in it and blitz that into it. I'm just going to keep this as plain tahini, nothing else. So there's my jar tahini. Actually, it's quite warm from all that blitzing. And I've got a little bit left in here to taste. So let's just taste it as it is to begin with. Actually, I was going to stick my finger in there. Oh, how disgusting. So, it is very textured, very, very strong flavour, as you'd expect. Okay. I think it would have been nice, perhaps with some garlic in it, but it's quite thick. Okay, quite nutty. So let's try it with a cracker. Ooh. I have a little bit of a sesame seed cracker, which coincidentally I made earlier, so you can check out how I made them. This is a bit of an offcut, this one, so it's a bit fragile. This is that complete transforms taste of that. Okay, that cracker, that's it. So I think that would be nice with like nachos or Doritos or whatever you fancy. But there you go. There's some traditional tahini.